Hey guys, Anthony Domenico. We're out here on a asphalt shingle roof today in a post hail and windstorm environment. Today's course we're going to be covering how to do a property inspection to evaluate a roof, an asphalt shingle roof, for both hail and wind damage after a storm. When we begin our property inspection in a post-storm environment, I encourage sales associates to use a property spec assessment sheet. This is a simple sheet, goes through all your elevations, covers all your trades, your steeps, your vents, your accessories, a notes section, really so the new sales associates are reminded of all the areas they need to check in a post-storm environment for damages. So today we're going to do a square test on an asphalt shingle roof in a post-hail environment. We're going to start by measuring out our 10 by 10 area. I know some of you guys know this, but for your new sales associates just starting out, this is a new thing. So this is a great training video. So our new sales associate here is marking off a 10 by 10 area, known as a square, or 100 square feet. This is the same thing most adjusters are going to do when they come out and check the slopes, typically on storm side, to determine if the roof warrants replacement due to the hail damage. So here, guys, what we're doing is inspecting for hail impact marks and bruises, which is an obvious dissipation of granules. The scientific reason for hail impact marks is, see where all this granular loss is? There you actually got the white mesh showing. The granules reflect the UV rays from the sun, which are part of the warranty of the roof. So if you have a lot of granular loss after a hailstorm, you literally have a problem with the warranty of the roof and a function of the roof, as it's supposed to be water shedding. And here you can see some of these hail hits are so big, and you can feel them, they've actually broke the back of the matting or exposed the white mesh inside the material there. So what we're doing here, guys, is we're going to go through, go ahead and keep circling, Jarvis, and circling how many hits we find in this 100 square foot area. And I might even jump in because Jarvis moved a little too slow here today. There's a good hit right there. There's a good one, nice soft bruise. Go ahead and get a close up on that. And that's a textbook hail hit right there, back of the matting's hit. You can actually almost see to the other side. But you see all these different marks. Most of them are hail impact marks. Some of them are wear and tear. And part of the challenge is to determine what's related to hail and what might be wear and tear, just an old shingle. And that's a big problem for a lot of newer sales associates or project managers out there doing inspections. Hail has a distinct look. And here it was 2-inch hail, so we can start to kind of see the consistency of these 2-inch hail hits, you know, throughout the roof here. Most insurance adjusters you meet out there are going to want to see, you'll see anything from 5 impact marks per square to 10, heck, sometimes even 15. A good rule of thumb as a contractor is if you start seeing 7+ hail impact marks per 100 square foot area, most contractors would recommend replacement at that point because it's not repairable, especially on an older shingle like this. Right here we've stopped counting at 20. This slope is facing west, so we went ahead and put a W. Gonna look up here at W equals 20+ hits. We could probably count 50, but once we're 10+, it's definitely a replacement category for this shingle roof, and that's what we call a square test. What we're doing here, guys, is we're going to evaluate this 100 square foot area, we call it a square, for wind damage. This property actually was affected by both hail and wind, so we did a hail test on one side, and we're checking for wind damage on this side. What Jarvis is doing is looking for obvious broken shingles from the windstorm, and marking a W wherever he sees an obvious crease. So that would get a W. We got another one right next to it. W. If you get a close-up here, even though this shingle is not dislodged, there's an obvious crease there from when the wind picked it up, and it certainly doesn't seal back down. Okay, there's another one there. And so we're in our 10 by 10 area, and we're looking for obvious signs of wind damaged shingles. Look at that, barely there. Actually, this one will blow off in the next windstorm. You know, if we start seeing 20%, say 20% wind lifted or wind damaged shingles in that square, from a contractor perspective, we're not gonna be able to repair this. And this one here, as you can see, is starting to hit. There's a crease right there, starting to hit 20%. Based on this square test here, exceeding 20% wind damage shingles, we would absolutely recommend roof replacement to this customer. So Jarvis, why don't you go ahead and explain the brittle factor when we're evaluating these shingles after a windstorm?
On some of these roofs, when they get old, they get brittle. Therefore, even if there's only a few damaged shingles, if we would go to try to replace this one that has the wind damage, the little crease there, and we go to take this one up, if we pick this one up just like the wind did, this shingle now is going to damage. In order to get this one in there, this one has to come up, but it's too brittle. This is going to get damaged, then this one's going to get damaged, so on and so forth.
So what you're saying is when we do the repair for this one, for example, because we can see that's obviously damaged by wind, we're actually going to affect this one, probably damage that one, and a few around it.
Exactly.
And therefore, that repair deems this roof needing to be replaced in its entirety.
Non-repairable.
Non-repairable. This roof is non-repairable, with very visible signs of wind damage and hail damage. Guys, beginning our property inspection, before we even do our square test, oftentimes you want to check the soft metals on top of the roof. That's your aluminum roof vents, your AC covers, and you want to look for signs of splatter and actual hail, because believe me, the insurance adjuster is going to be doing the same thing. So if we take a quick look here, on top of this steel cover, we can see splatter marks, which generally the hail is twice the size of the splatter. So if you see a 1-inch splatter mark like this, you're talking about a 2-inch hailstone. And you can see these pretty prevalent throughout the top of this steel AC, which is a good sign that hail did affect this property and this roof. Down here on another type of vent, if we run our chalk over the top, we can see indentations. And we can see a hit there. We got some other hits going on here. And this is a pretty heavy material. But we want to check all those vent cap covers. You also want to check some of the aluminum vent covers. You know, here we can see some obvious signs of hail impact marks. And you should really do this before you even check the actual roof, because you want to make sure what you're looking at is hail damage on top of those asphalt shingles or other roof coverings. So this is our finished square test here on the west slope. As you can see here again, guys, we counted 20 plus hail hits. You start seeing 10, 20 plus hail hits, you might as well stop counting. We wrote a W equals 20 plus. Once we've established this slope is damaged, then we extrapolate that across the rest of the roof. So we're obviously not going to mark this roof up with chalk in every square, but we're going to go ahead and extrapolate that and make an assumption. And as you can see here, the rest of the roof looks pretty consistently hit. But this square test will do this 10 by 10 area. Guys, so we've done our square test. We checked the soft metals on the roof. We have, as a contractor, we feel this roof is definitely a replacement category based on hail and wind damage. Before you get off that roof, let's make sure this property spec assessment sheet is filled out correctly. The better prepared you are now when you go meet that insurance adjuster, or the next time you sit down with that customer, with their ventilation, with all the accessories on our roof. If you take a look at this property spec sheet, making sure we have the AC. There's an AC up top here. Why is that important? Well, we know we're going to have to probably shift or lift that AC unit to actually do the roofing project. Heck, we might even need to bring a crane out here. So all these accessories on top of the roof are going to determine different things we need to include in our estimate. We have a satellite dish up here, a detach and reset. We got several ventilation systems up here, a couple power vents. And this is going to help me build my estimate later on. We know we're on a 712 to 912 roof pitch. Okay, and now when we get down, we're going to do a walk around the property as well and make sure that any other things on here like windows, window screens, gutters, fascia, paint is also checked as part of our property spec assessment sheet. And that way, when we show up to that adjustment, a week, 3 days from now, or whenever it is, we're better prepared as a contractor. Okay guys, when we get off that roof, let's make sure we do a good walk around that property, checking for signs of hail, possibly wind damage. Window claddings are a good place to check. A lot of times you're going to find hail dings in there. If it's if the sun's the wrong time of the day, use your flashlight and flash it up against those claddings, and you may see some hail impact marks. or some other things caused by the storm. And we're going to move around the property and just quickly check, especially on the storm size, windows, screens. Got some slight impact marks down here, and then we're going to go ahead and write those on in the window area of our property spec sheet, more or less as a reminder to show these things to the adjuster when we meet the adjuster back out here, but also to explain to the homeowner. And don't forget to always snap a picture of those trades as a reminder, or also to send to your production manager in case you need to start getting pre-sub bid quotes in preparation for that insurance adjustment. So on close inspection here, guys, we can see some obvious hail impact marks in the paint, on the fascia. We got some indent marks in the aluminum screen. Not huge trades by any means, but we're going to mark those down on our property specs sheet here. 2 screens on this side, 1 window, probably a recoat of paint on this west side fascia. It just gives us a good reminder of what we're going to expect to show that insurance adjuster, but also what we might expect to have to contract as part of this job. Continuing with our inspection here, we have some obvious impact marks. This is actually an aluminum garage door, the painted surface. So we have some indentation, some paint chips. And we just want to mark these in preparation again for that insurance adjustment, and to let the homeowner know that they have some obvious dings and damage from that recent storm. And always remember to mark that down on your property spec assessment sheet, because believe me, after you do 100 of these in a month, you're going to forget. And always take a photo. Can you grab that photo? Of the trade, of the specialty trade, so you have it for your records.